What's up, YouTube? It's Ben, and in this video, we're going to talk about when to quit your job. Alright guys, thank you so much for checking out another one of my YouTube videos. Truly appreciate all of you that have subscribed, liked, shared, commented on my videos. Hey, if you're not already in our Facebook group, Six Figure Recruiters, link in the description of this video to our group. Join us on Facebook. There's 8,000 other entrepreneurs out there just like you that are talking about recruiting, staffing, and overall networking together about this topic. So I'd love for you to join our group. Please do. Again, link in the description of this video, and let's jump right into it. So this question gets asked all the time. Hey Ben, when should I quit my job? When's it right to leave your job? When is it okay and safe enough to leave your 9-to-5 and go solo and run your own business? So one of the first things I want to say about leaving your job, quitting your 9-to-5 in corporate, is that it's not to be taken lightly. This is a very serious thing as it involves your income, which is essentially your livelihood, and that's not really something you want to mess around with willy-nilly, right? You want to be pretty serious about when you're ready to actually leave your position, when you're actually ready to start your business full-time and generate your income from that rather than your corporate 9-to-5. Now, for me personally, my story was that I was working at a dead-end 9-to-5 cubicle slave job where I was basically wasting away and doing nothing. With that being said, of course, my entrepreneurial mind went straight to business, and I made a decision to 100% build out a business, be successful at it, and leave that job. And I did so within exactly 6 months. I generated about $125,000 in that 6 months from the business and then said sayonara. Now, the factors that went into my departure from my 9-to-5 were about twofold. One, I had plenty of cash stacked from the business. I did not spend my money or blow my money in any frivolous way. I just let it all sit, right? So I didn't spend that money. That business was business money. So what I did was basically just earn that money, keep it, made sure that I had that nest egg that I could build on so that I could actually quit the job. Now, the second factor that made it super easy for me to say bye, sayonara, I'm out after making that 125K was the fact that I knew there were plenty of other 9-to-5s out there if anything failed or if anything just went haywire and sideways for me. If I didn't have an income coming in, I knew that I had an absolute fallback plan. I knew I could go find another 9-to-5 somewhere else. So this is specifically something that trips up so many people. And oftentimes people come to me and ask me these questions about leaving their job even though they've made X amount, like a pretty good amount of money in recruiting. And oftentimes I'll say, well, I mean, it sounds like you could probably live on that and leave your job. But the one caveat that people really don't get, and I really think it has to do with programming from as we were raised up, is that people seem to cling to their 9-to-5s as if it's their only source of income, when in reality, it does not have to be like that. There are 9-to-5s everywhere. Understand that if you became meaningless to your company at any single point in time, which totally can happen. You could be laid off any day right now. If you're watching this video and you have a 9-to-5, understand that you're meaningless to your company, right? So I know that's a paradox of recruiting and recruiting people, but here's the deal. You are meaningless to the company, and essentially you can be replaced at any time. With that being said, you have to be able to understand that you need to get another job if something like that happens. So if that happens to you and you didn't know it was going to happen, or it happens to you because you made it happen, understand there are options for you. Just to be really clear about timelines, it took me personally about 6 months to make that 125K and then leave. For somebody else, it might take them a year. For somebody else, it might take them 3 months. I don't know. It really, really depends on how much work you put into the business, how much you actually want it, how bad you want it, and eventually what you want to do. So if you're really, really dead set on getting out of corporate America, making your own money, doing your own thing, then you're going to make it happen. If you're not, you're not, which is a perfect segue into what I want to talk about next. It must be understood that there are two types of people in the working world overall. There are employees and there are entrepreneurs. Now, employees and entrepreneurs have very different mindsets. Completely polar opposite, right? The employee loves the fact that they get a W-2 check every 2 weeks, they have a 401k, they have some sort of backstop safety net, all that kind of stuff, and they have a boss to tell them what to do every single day, and their regimen is basically scheduled out for them, and they're essentially a robot. They do whatever they're told to do, and that's how they like it, because they like that sort of planning. They like that sort of structure, right? That's an employee mindset. And that's totally fine for people that are into that. That's completely about 90%, 95% of America. That's what they like. They like to just go into a job, expect that every 2-week paycheck and possible bonus, maybe commission here and there, that type of thing. That is an employee mindset. And to be super clear, there's nothing wrong with having an employee mindset, except for the fact that the entrepreneur mindset is way better. So the entrepreneur mindset says, hey, I can be my own boss. I can tell myself what to do. I'm disciplined. I'm organized. I know exactly how to make money. And oh, by the way, I can make about triple, quadruple what I can make at that old 9-to-5 I used to work at. So I'm going to be an entrepreneur instead. And I'm going to be really successful because I'm also super driven up here and the box is open for me. I don't no longer live in a box like an employee mindset. So with that being said, I obviously have the entrepreneur mindset. I hope that everyone watching this video is leaning towards or already does have the entrepreneur mindset. And with that being said, you're totally on the right pathway to run your own business. And eventually, if you are working, to quit your 9-to-5 corporate job, because you're not going to thrive there. You're never going to get rich there. And that's just the fact, right? You are never going to get rich working for somebody else. All right. So putting all of that aside, we need to go back to kind of the basics here, right? Having an entrepreneur mindset right there is not just going to get you a ticket to leave your 9-to-5 corporate job, right? That's not going to be it. That's what we call a wantrepreneur, somebody that wants it, but it's not actually doing it, right? That's a whole different ballgame. So you have to be the actual entrepreneur producing something, not just wanting to produce something. I personally know plenty of people that have awesome ideas that they'll never execute on. Therefore, they're never going to get anywhere. They're never going to leave their actual job because they're actually never going to take action and execute on what they plan on doing, right? But the real entrepreneur is actually going to do that. Therefore, the real entrepreneur will start that business. They'll actually engage in whatever their idea was. They'll build that prototype. You know what I mean? They'll do those things. So when we talk about quitting your job, we have to talk about what are you bringing behind it? How are you backing that up? You know what I mean? Before I left my job, like I said, I was able to make enough capital to justify leaving. I made double my salary, more than double my salary in half the time my salary would have been made. You have to have your KPIs, your key performance indicators. You have to understand, how much am I generating as far as income? What am I bringing in on a monthly basis? Does that match my job's income, right? Am I surpassing my job's income? Does my job pay me $5,000? Did I make $6,000 with my recruiting business last month, right? Is that matching up or is it surpassing? You know, where am I at, right? If you can make enough money to match what your job is paying you, it doesn't make sense for you to be at your job anymore, so long as that is over a sustained, predictable, repeatable period of time. That's the important part. Predictable and repeatable. If you cannot sustain that over, let's say, 5 months, 6 months or so, and actually prove yourself, the proof of concept, you're not going to be able to say, hey, it's safe for me to leave, it's okay. If you maybe do that for 3 months and then everything after that is kind of junk, it's not time to leave. On the flip side, if you can do that for 3, 4, 5, 6 months straight, and you can generate your entire salary in half the time that you would have generated that salary, it's definitely time for you to leave because of those two factors I mentioned before. One, you now have the income to actually quit your job. And two, there's plenty of 9-to-5s that you can go fall back on. Hell, half the time you can go back to the same company you were at before. They'll take you back. They want you in this market right now for sure. So with that being said, it's not a big deal once you reach those numbers. Now it becomes a mind game, and that's what I'll talk about next. Up to this point in this video, everything I've talked about is practical, applicable, and something that you can start looking at today. Your KPIs, what your business is doing, if you've started a business yet, or if you're planning on starting the business today, which I highly recommend. With that being said, when you want to look at this thing, eventually your ego, your subconscious, your mind is going to creep in, and you're going to get this gut feeling that tells you, maybe I should not leave the job. Maybe it's not the right time. Maybe it's not safe enough, right? But that's where you need to overcome your gut feelings with logic, right? So always, 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 I tell people to intermingle the two, right? Understand your gut feeling is super important and you should always pay attention to it. But just as important, the mind-body connection is huge. So you should always intertwine that with your logic and what you think out loud, right? So when you're looking at the numbers, which never lie, you need to look at what I'm actually making, the income, and what I'm actually feeling, right? How do I feel about it, right? The logic will always win in this scenario. When you look at it the way I've laid it out, where you have the income coming in, you know you have fallback plans, you know that you can generate more if you actually exited the corporate job, it becomes a no-brainer. At that point, logic prevails over everything, and at that point, it's time to leave your corporate job. Again, only if all of the parameters I said above fit. Warning, this is not a video for you to be inspired to leave your job today. Ultimately, it comes down to a couple of factors, right? Earning the amount of money that you would earn at the job anyways, and having those fallback plans, and knowing logically that that is going to work for you. The last thing I want to say too is that understanding if you're working full-time on your business, how much more is that going to earn you overall if you're able to do that on your own time, full-time, than your job? If that equation makes sense for you, then it's absolutely time to leave your job. So let's say that you're working a job in corporate that pays about $55,000 annual, but your recruiting business that you're also simultaneously doing is bringing in about the same amount of money at the same rate, meaning your income from the recruiting business is matching your corporate income. Just by looking at a little bit of data and understanding how you actually were able to build the recruiting business, scale it up to the amount that you're actually earning at your corporate job, it would probably make sense that you could exponentially build the recruiting agency income by about twofold, threefold, fourfold even, if you were able to do it full time. That's a really good case for why you would leave a corporate 9-to-5, because you could go home, open up your laptop, and basically work that business all the way up to an empire at that point, quadrupling your income potentially, basically making way more than you'll ever make at that 9-to-5, and just exponentially building that business. Just take a really good look at the numbers. Numbers never lie. Numbers will never be wrong. They will never lie to you. So everything's going to come out in the data, right? You're going to see everything in the numbers. Other factors apply too, like what's your mental health look like at that corporate job? Is it declining in a way that you can't actually perform and build your recruiting business? Does your corporate job just bring you down that much that it's not going to help you build out that business? That really sucks, you know what I mean? So you have to put all of these things on the plate, look at them fully, and then understand what your decision is going to be or when your decision is going to be. Because of course that's not going to have to happen today. You can always make yourself a timeline, a time frame, or some sort of deadline to when you want to look at the numbers and make a full decision. You could do it 6 ways from Sunday, but all I'm saying is that the data is going to tell you everything. Going back to me personally, I can say that I have never, ever been happier for the choice that I made and exactly in the way that I made it. I've also never worked harder until I worked for myself, because I knew that I was earning my own income, every single penny of it, not making somebody else's bank account bigger, just mine. The fact that I can run my business the way I want to run my business without anyone over my shoulder, just me, my mind, myself, makes me stronger. It makes me better at what I do. And I absolutely love it. Wouldn't trade it for the world. You'll never find me walking back into a corporate office. So I really hope this video is valuable to you in understanding when to leave your 9-to-5. If it was, please give this video a like, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Hit that bell alert button so you know every single time I come out with a brand new video. Until then.